Or follows various paths. Two paths basically the world indulges and doesn't really realize it until it is time at the end. First off being the concept of good and evil being the second path. There was never an in-between road. Persons who don't fail or fail to address a particular road, choose a side, it tend to end up on the side of evil, because truth is not ambiguous. It does not lie in the realm of ambiguity. It is something that is absolute. Surety exists and lies within it. So, in this world, there is only two paths that a person can exhibit their maximum strengths and traits. It is in the path of good or the path of evil, righteousness or demonic activities. The thing is that demonic activities these days is not necessarily what we were taught or used to back in the days when it comes to witches and spell books, but it can just be a lifestyle, laziness, golem-like, statue-like. It's not necessarily a stillness, but it is something that removes the whole idea of humanity, the human experience, and inputs something where the person is just seen as a statue, a robot, working day in, day out for the benefit of a corporation, using their human bodily resource as a manufacturing tool to aid in the mass production of things that we don't necessarily need after a period of time. Our minds have been warped in this modern day and age because we were force-fed the concept that if we abide under society's rules, regulation, guidelines, protocols, and canopy, cover and all, we will be protected. Yet many persons who tend to rely solely upon the system eventually face regret, because their freedoms eventually become taken away. They're subjected to the whims of the system, basically. God, on the other hand, the good promotes the concept of freedom. Freedom from our bondage, freedom from anything that would hold you down. Many persons tend to reject this notion for something that is more palatable, tasty, comfortable. Something that they are willing to take with a grain of salt and just move on. They are unable to accept critiques, for they deem it as being hatred. Excuse me. So, as the main basis of this world is traveling the road of good and evil, regardless of the path they take. The world we live only exists on two planes. So it is with that most persons live by. Everybody lives by a moral code or a compass, which is the designated way in which man operates. It is our operating system, the whole concept of morality. Morality can switch between good and evil. A person can live by a degrading moral lifestyle because they will be living by certain precepts, rules, and examples. So I could make an example in relation to the evil morality. Now, the evil morality standard, one could say, would stem from, long before the era which I am going to make mention of, but the era which I'm going to make mention of saw the rise of a man by the name of Aleister Crowley, who brought this concept of do what thou wilt, do whatever you want, do what thou wilt, and the love is the law, love and the will, quotation as being the dominant force which guides the modern society these days. Books and movies, music have all been centered around this particular individual. The Beatles also have had great inspiration from him through the means of their Sgt. Pepper album and other means. And I did listen to that album myself, and I was really drawn into it spiritually. Well, luckily, God snapped me out of it. The heart is a very, very dangerous thing. The quote that he mentions, "I'll do what thou wilt," is things that the heart desires. The mind is not in tune at this present moment. If the heart desires anything, no matter how debased it may come across, an individual will latch onto it as a tool or a mechanism by which they're able to fully express their hedonism. So basically, the quotation is freedom under hedonism. It's freedom for flesh. His quotation makes the flesh seem appeasing, or it is the thing by which we live by, or should live by, at least in his eyes. He, one could say, was a child of the devil. He wrote poems dedicated to him, or it. He called himself the beast, the wickedest man in the world, some referred to him as, and engaged in very strange rituals. Within a couple of decades, crafting a book and such, having it spread across the Western Hemisphere, interacting with like-minded individuals, especially those within the upper echelon, he was able to have his word become the foundation and the groundwork for something more evil to come within the modern day. Jack Parsons, who was the person that developed, well, the person who was the inspiration behind the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, was a follower of him. He also believed in this whole notion of the sex magic ritual, which would bring forth the birth or the stargate that can bring out the whore of Babylon. Now, in Revelation, it mentions the whore of Babylon as the one that has a cup filled with the abominations of the world and causes people to drink. She is also deemed as a prostitute and rides upon a beast and such. The notion presented by these individuals is that they're able to physically bring forth within this physical realm the spiritual by engaging in these very dangerous rituals. Jack Parsons died in a mysterious laboratory incident, but he was one of the main key figures when it came to the development of rockets in the United States of America. Another person who was a follower of Aleister Crowley's work was the person deemed as L. Ron Hubbard, and he was the founder of Scientology. Now, in regards to the founder of Scientology, he makes belief that alien creatures created us on this earth. We were basically made lower than these alien creatures. But the thing about it is that our development came through the rise of emotions, right? So over a period of time of man able to develop their emotions and such, they're able to develop themselves, evolve, them would say, until they reach a higher state of consciousness, quote unquote, and they reach a point where we're able to go up against the evil ones. I think are the same ones that created them, and it's basically like a Star Wars, but it was taken so serious that it formed into a religion, and this religion is what they call Scientology, which persons like Will Smith, John Travolta, and I think Tom Cruise subscribe to. However, many persons within the ranks of Scientology, which is a growing religious cult, are unaware of that foundation with Aleister Crowley. Now, the point needs to be made that evil can be worn upon the sleeve, but in a very deceptive manner. So it's like they say, walking in plain sight. You're doing your evil manifestations in plain sight, but masking it under the concept of either love or doing what you want or having a good time. So most persons tend to live in accordance to that. Hence the reason why life based upon two narrative is either the concept of good or evil. Once the introduction to this came to the forefront, there was a change in the society back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and modern 2010 and such. Because it saw many persons, especially when it came to the youths, using the teachings that came directly from men like Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons, Edward Hubbard, and many others who are students of Aleister to fuel their creativity. These days, the most common set of persons to use these teachings would be persons that are within the music fraternity, because they're fully able to express what they need to say in a good enough concept. So for now, I take leave. Again, save.